Listen, I want to say this right here to my brother right quick. And this is going to encourage some of you other ones as well. My brother, I'm sending prayers your way that God strengthen you in your flesh, that your flesh gain ascendancy over your spirit. But I want you to know something. All of us who are in this temple, we have to fight and war against this flesh. Even the man or woman standing in a pulpit who may appear as if they don't have these struggles. A lot of people don't talk about these things, which I don't know why. A lot of religious leaders don't talk about these things. But this flesh shall never be no good. The spirit is willing, the flesh is weak. And I don't want you to think that you're less, any less because you have those desires that come upon your flesh. For one, it's a natural desire. When we are healthy in our body, God gave us the ability to have sex as a pleasure. It is a pleasure, but it is supposed to be enjoyed in a marriage. But that does not mean the flesh still does not crave just because we are not, married. The flesh just stops craving. No, sometimes it craves even more because as we discipline ourselves and then as God begins to use us, we are gifted. Just because we're gifted, that does not mean it takes away the desires of the flesh, right? And Paul himself even had a struggle in the flesh. He said that he was given a thorn in his flesh so that he would not become conceited. So basically he tied it to God, keeping him humble. And he asked God 3 times to take the desire, the weakness in his flesh away. That's why I say I believe Paul struggled with masturbation, because we have that desire. It can come over you so heavy sometimes, right? He said he asked God to take it away, but God told Paul, my grace is sufficient for you, right? And so therefore we shouldn't get high-minded like what we see a lot of going on today. People hitting people over the head with the word, making them feel as if they're less not saved or not really in God, if they still got some struggles. We all have struggles. Somebody got something they struggling with, even the strongest person. I am a single woman. My temple is pure. I have not been touched by a man in probably over, last year I was saying 10 years, so probably over 11, going on 11 years now, but I struggle with the desire to go back sometimes to get some of the toys that I used to have. I used to masturbate all the time. Strong woman, making my own money, running my own business, working, doing my own thing, and now I'm satisfying myself. It takes away the, how can I say it, the chemistry, the natural chemistry between a man and a woman when we're satisfying ourselves, or when we constantly give ourselves over to so many different people and partners. You get all these soul ties and stuff like that, and it can mess with your spirit. It mess with your purpose. You can't function straight, right? But you're not different than anybody. We're gifted. We may be gifted even when God is using us. And sometimes when God is using you, you go through the most suffering. We have to crucify the flesh. Our life become a living sacrifice, because the things the flesh want to do, we don't do. And Paul said sometimes the things I should do, I don't do. The things I shouldn't do, I find myself doing. I believe he struggled with that. But that was a thorn in his flesh. I believe he struggled with masturbation, but that was a thorn in his flesh. And God's grace was enough for him. There is no condemnation for those who are in Christ. When you seriously are trying to beat back this flesh and walk uprightly, God's grace and God's mercy will cover you, right? It will cover you. And even though you may be doing good works, when God begins to use you as you grow in Christ, you're going to see that the desires of the flesh don't go nowhere. It's a normal thing. It's a normal thing. But when you start walking in purity, you ain't going to really allow yourself to be put in certain situations that could corner you. Because if you do, sometimes in the beginning, you're going to learn what causes you to get trapped, what causes you to get caught up. And sometimes you get around the wrong people with bad intentions. They will seduce you and entice you, and sometimes you go too far. You may not come back. You may make a mistake that time, because you're in that situation. And so as you grow, you're going to be learning like, okay, I ain't going that way. I ain't going that way. You ain't coming over my house. I ain't coming. You're going to start learning how to put up measures to guard yourself, right? And so just keep going. Brush yourself off when you make a mistake. But like I said, fasting and prayer, you keep going. And you're going to get stronger and stronger. But it's a discipline too. Because as the spirit gains ascendancy over the flesh, you got to keep your spiritual muscle strong. You got to keep going, because the devil will, come at you when you least expect it, and so you just got to stay strong, right? But the desire doesn't go anywhere. So don't beat yourself up too much. But you know, you just fast. You begin to fast and break down the flesh, make the flesh real weak, and then the spirit will gain ascendancy. Sometimes when the flesh don't feel like moving, or you had a long day at work sometimes or whatever, that's when you get a strong desire, sexual desire. And then sometimes you gotta get up and you gotta move. You know, me personally, being transparent, I got up and moved tonight. You know, after I finished running all my errands and I came home and switched vehicles, I had to go back out, run some more errands. And then once I came back in the house, I didn't feel like going back out. But then this strong desire came over me and I was like, oh, I'm going to the steam room, go let off some steam, you know? So I try to keep myself busy, and that's just me being transparent. And like I said, I'm a woman with God, a woman of God who's celibate. But the desire don't go nowhere. If your body is healthy, you're in good health, you know, everything works right on you, you're going to have those desires. And it's not a sin to have the desire, but it is a sin to give into those desires. It makes us weak. We can be more stronger and more powerful against the kingdom of darkness when we are, you know, walking in purity, right? And so anyway, I just wanted to share that. Be encouraged. I'm sending prayers your way. We bind the spirit of lust, right? But you fast and you continue to pray. Crucify the flesh. Make the flesh weak. Beat it down, you know. All right. Have a blessed night. Another opinion I have as well, I think if we normalize being honest and keeping it 100 about our experiences, our feelings, and you can't do it with everybody, but you know, the Bible does say confess your faults to one another. And you see, once you get around other people who are honest and keep it 100, you know, all right now, all right, and get around other people who are honest and keep it 100, it makes life more meaningful, because then you ain't around all that fake stuff where people try to make it believe like since they come into Christ they're so holy and they don't have any temptations because they got a gift. Sometimes when people are, like I say, a lot of people don't like to talk about that. When they're spiritually gifted and they're helping people, they kind of just brush stuff aside. They don't like to deal with it, and they avoid people who may still have some weaknesses because they're not strong enough, and sometimes, you know, they don't want to get weak. So they do have to avoid certain companies because bad companies corrupt good character. But I'm talking about, like, you know, you sometimes see them really going hard and condemning people who still are in certain struggles, when at the end of the day, baby, let me tell you something. Anytime the enemy who roams seeking to and from seeking whom he may devour, at any time he can catch us slipping. So that's why we have to continuously watch and pray and do our best to stay under the word, because you know, the flesh ain't gonna never be our friend on this journey. It's gonna always desire what it shouldn't have, right? So that's why as long as we live in this earth, even as we get stronger and stronger, we still have to crucify this flesh. Yep. But when we normalize being honest and just keeping it 100, you'll see you're really not the only one, right? We all have those. We all have something that we struggle with. And some things we master and we overcome, and the devil know he can't get us in this area, so he'll keep trying to find another area, you know. But day by day, every day, one day at a time, we work out our salvation. Yeah, so that's just what I wanted to add. Have a blessed night.